What's happening, people? Scarthy Spurslook here, back with another one of these weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. It's good this season to finally not be doing therapy sessions. Something me and Holly can agree on every single Monday, playing some good stuff, coming off the back of a 5-2 win against Burnley. And tonight I'm joined by a fabulous panel, starting with Crackers. How you doing?
Evening, Harry, or morning or afternoon if you're catching up with this at another time. So I'm very well, and thank you for the invite on again. And currently loving life as a Spurs fan, which is not saying that we've had a chance to much say over the last 4 or 5 seasons and the last 4 or 5 managers. I think it's that many, isn't it, since Potts went? So yep. with the daily interims we had at one stage. But yeah, I'm all good, and loving me a bit of Ange ball at the moment. All good.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, Crackers. Looking forward to getting into it. Craig, welcome back onto the show. Your second time, I believe. Obviously, go on the Cheese Room podcast with you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I am amazing. Thanks, Harry. Great to be back. I'm vying for that hat-trick ball you send out to all your guests after the 3rd time of appearing. So glad to be back. Glad to be here talking with yourself, Crackers, and Hasper. So yeah, let's get into it. Lots to discuss, and it's all positive for a change.
It is all positive, and there's certainly a lot to discuss, especially with outgoings today, the game, transfer window. So we will get into it shortly. Haz, third guest, how you doing? We always do a stream together.
Yeah, again, what a surprise. This is the 3rd time this week or something.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Me and Harry do a lot of streams together, so I'm happy to be on here again on a Monday night. And yeah, get into it.
Yeah, fabulous. Looking forward to getting into it. Big up to everyone in the chat who's listening live on YouTube. Big up to Robbie. Big up to Barney and anyone else who is listening. Thank you very much. Get involved in the comments throughout today's show. But that's a reminder, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. That'd be massively appreciated. It is free to do so, and it does help the channel and show grow. If you like what you're seeing, leave a like, turn the notifications bell on. Like I said, if you are listening live on YouTube, get involved in the comments. We'll read your opinions and any questions for the guys, put them forward either on Twitter or in the comments. If you are listening after on any podcast platforms such as Spotify, Anchor, Amazon Music, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review, because we know lots of you do that, so that'd be massively appreciated. But without further ado, let's crack into it. I'm going to come straight to you, Crackers. So thinking back before the game, before the win, what did you make of the lineup when it's first announced? Because no Richarlison, Solomon comes in, Son down the middle. What do you think about it when it was announced?
Well, I was more optimistic than the Fulham game, that's for sure. When I saw that lineup, it was Richarlison had a knock, apparently. I think that was more a knock of his confidence than any bones or muscles. And Son back down the middle. So it's kind of that first 11 picks itself now, doesn't it? And thankfully, they are there, because as we saw in the Fulham game, if you scratch the surface of that first 11, then there's a few worries and people you think to yourself, I'm not too sure. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. We're going to be really unlucky to get like 9 injuries and suspension and have to play that team that we did versus Fulham. But there's a couple of key areas where if that does happen, you're going to begin to worry a little bit. But you are where you are with these things. So when these players do come in, and inevitably, that's easy for me to say, they will come in. You just have to get behind them. It's no good screaming and shouting before even a ball's kicked that they're going to be no good. Hopefully people learn a little bit of lesson from Vicario, where he was just written off after one half of a pre-season friendly. And now look, I mean, I don't think there's a keeper in the Premier League I would swap him for at the moment, given what he's done thus far. He's a goalkeeper and he will throw a couple in, or they all do. But, so yeah, Son down the middle, and it was lovely to see, after last season and the injury he carried and the family bereavement that he had with his grandfather and everything else, he's come back down the middle, bagged himself a hat-trick. Obviously, there's a great team of people around him to make that happen as well. And it just goes to show you that, class is permanent and form is a temporary thing, isn't it? So I was really pleased for him. And Romero as well just looks a different player with his vice captaincy. He looks like he's taken that responsibility and having Van der Ven alongside of him, Vicario behind him. So there's a lot of players that look really transformed this season, not just as footballers, but as individuals within that team. We look more of a team now, more gelled. So that first 11, fantastic. I mean, Solomon coming in, wow. I mean, he tore it up Saturday. Sure, we're going to get some stronger tests than that on Saturday. But you can only beat what's in front of you, can't you, as I say? So on Saturday it is we're talking about. Job done, and job done really well. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Thank you, Crackers. Craig, what were your initial thoughts on the lineup when it was announced? Obviously, that one change.
I agree with everything Crackers has said broadly. I was really excited to. Firstly, I wasn't surprised to see Richarlison drop out. I think, as Crackers has sort of alluded to, less of a not more of a confidence thing. I always expected and said as much that we would see Son down the middle for games. So I was excited that he went down the middle. I was excited to see what Solomon could do with a start. And as he did well, didn't he? Two assists in his opening game, and he looked threatening all day. So, and that just goes to show some of the strength we've got, particularly in that forward or that front three. So, I've got every confidence whoever plays in that front three to be on, whether it's Richarlison, Son, Solomon, or whoever it might be. But overall, everything else other than that was as expected. And as Crackers has sort of said, we haven't got that much depth underneath anyway. So if those players are fit, particularly the back four and the midfield three, they're the three that I think from the four we will see start every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Haz, I know we go on many streams together, loads of different channels, the double act, Harry and Harry. But, we discussed on a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've both been critical of him at times. So what were your honest thoughts before the lineup was announced, knowing that Son, was playing at the middle, Richarlison dropped out? Talk to me.
Well, initially, I was 50-50 with it because Richarlison scored in midweek. So to me, it was quite strange that he wasn't playing. And also, my other 50% was saying that because he came off limping, that maybe that was the reason why he wasn't playing. Bearing in mind Solomon started, I kind of expected him to play on the right, and he played on the left, which in the end, we'll talk about later on, but ended up being actually a good thing in the end. But overall, the rest of the team kind of picks itself. So like the back five was expected, and the midfield three, because Benska's not back yet, is expected. So yeah. Pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. So moving on to the start of the game, the bit that went a bit wrong, if you like. So Crackers, for the first goal that we conceded, because it wasn't the best of starts, it's fair to say. Off of the back of getting knocked out of second round of the Carabao Cup, not the start we needed, not the response we wanted. So who do you think? I hate to point fingers, but who do you think's at fault for the first goal?
I think we failed to actually deal with that attacking move about 3 times. So I would say it was more of a team fouling than any one individual. There was 2 or 3 points where that should have really been dealt with. I think in the league, that is actually the first goal that we've conceded, if you like, that's actually been scored against us. We had a deflection and a pen, and so that was really the first goal. But look, I try and be a little bit half full glass with these things. Again, going back to the last 3 or 4 seasons, you would have seen Tottenham absolutely rabbit in the headlights after going 1-0 down like that, away from home. A sort of a partisan home crowd, if you like, getting behind their team, and we would have been all over the place. There would have been those 10-yard balls that all of a sudden look like people are running through treacle and dealing with like an unexploded bomb, if you like. It's, but we didn't. We just settled. We went again. We carried on doing exactly what we was doing, and we just all of a sudden you just thought to yourself, okay, we're 1 down, but there's no way we're not scoring and we're not winning this game.
Yeah.
So, that first goal sometimes now that we've won the game 5-2, you can kind of look at it almost perversely and say that wasn't a bad thing that happened, because it tested us. It asked another question of this team. It asked another question of this new manager. We're still learning so much because there's so many new personnel, new philosophy, new manager, that sometimes when you get asked a question like that, you learn a bit. And that's what I was pleased to see, was how we come back from going 1-0 down. So look, win as a team, lose as a team. Now that's what I'm really liking, is that real team togetherness that we've got, and I think that's what takes you places. So a team failing, to answer your question, Harry. I could have said that 10 minutes ago and carried on, couldn't we? I'm such a waffler.
Wow, there you go. Information's important sometimes. No, I completely agree with everything you said. Haz, so first goal, are you going to point fingers at anyone? Do you think anyone was to blame? Porro, potentially Van der Ven? Or do you just, you with crackers in terms of the team thing and we failed to deal with the situation?
I think Spurs seem to have this habit of switching off. And I think that's basically what happened. It's like they surprised us in some ways, I felt. Because unfortunately, obviously everyone was watching this on the stream, right? So I put on the stream, within like 30 seconds they scored. so I was like, what? I literally just found a stream that was working, and then he scored. So I was like, oh no, here we go again. But I just think it's just switching off, and they are a young side at the end of the day. So I think this is going to happen more often than not, and we've seen it in the past with other young Spurs sides where they just switch off, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Craig, what do you make of the first goal we conceded?
Yeah, look, we're going to concede goals this season. The way we set up, the way we play, the players that we have, being so offensively minded, particularly at fullback, it's going to happen. So Porro's going to make mistakes. Your dog is going to make mistakes. The centre half's going to make mistakes, and we're going to get punished for it. The keeper's going to throw one in the back of the net. It's going to happen. What's different, or what seems to be different, is we are able to respond, and we know, as I think Cracker said, we don't go into a game now. If we conceded a goal last season, we're thinking there's not much chance we're going to score 2 goals and win this game. You're lucky to score a goal and get a draw. That's not the case anymore. Averaging 3 goals a game, just under in the first 4 league games. We know we're going to score at least 2 goals in every game, pretty much. Give or take. So we're playing to the traditional way. You score 3, we'll score 4, and I'm all for it. So it doesn't bother me when we concede goals. Of course, I'd rather we keep a clean sheet. Of course, I'd rather we didn't go 1-0 down in the first 5 minutes of a game. But it isn't right now. It isn't a worry. It doesn't matter whether they're playing United, Burnley, or Chelsea, whoever it is. If we go a goal down, I sort of expect it, but know that we've got the strength and character and the players, particularly in the attacking third, to come back and get ourselves back into a winning position.
Yeah, exactly that. Thank you very much, guys. So moving on to an individual who we signed this summer, who's, for me anyways, made a massive difference, and that is James Maddison. Coming back to you, Haz, how important is he to this team? And what do you make of his time in the Spurs shirt so far?
This has come from someone who watched Maddison for about 4 years plus at Tottenham. So I was just so, I don't know what the word is, relieved, excited that we signed him, because I really wanted him. And I knew from like a very long time ago that we finally replaced Eriksen. It took us for 4 years, but we finally replaced him. But I knew he was like a very, very, very good player. But seeing him week in, week out is very different. And I always think that I kind of underrated him, because I only saw him in like games here and there for Leicester over the years, rather than just like I don't watch Leicester on a weekly basis, do I? So, but I think Maddison's he's just kind of like connected the whole team in a sense. Obviously, Bissouma's a big part of that, but I think Maddison kind of is the connecting between the attack and the defense. And obviously he's in midfield, but he kind of just pulls the strings. And you see him just spraying balls on the left, spraying balls on the right. And also, I think the difference between him and Eriksen, and it's probably unpopular because I think Maddison is probably better than Eriksen was and is that he just seems to be more in the game. So even when he doesn't have the ball, I just think he has more fight about him. He wants the ball. He demands the ball a lot more. Even when you say he has a bad game, he doesn't. I don't think he really is having a bad game. And his goal was kind of trademark Maddison. If you watched enough of Maddison before, you know this is trademark Maddison.
It sure is, sure was. Craig, what do you make of Maddison's time in the Spurs shirt so far? Have you been impressed?
Massively impressed. Not surprised. Those that know me know I moved to Leicester many years ago. Being a Spurs fan, living in Leicester over the last few years when they won the league title, for example, is not a good place to be. But all you have to do is listen to the Leicester fans and the way that they now call him a prima donna. Doesn't turn up for half the season. You know, their criticism of him since they've left shows how much leaving him has hurt them. He is a player that I've been lucky enough to watch, particularly when we played Leicester at away and Leicester at home, obviously being a season ticket holder. He's a quality player. We're lucky to have him. We got him coming in for the money we got him was an absolute bargain. And in the pre-season, when we was fighting out with Newcastle for his signature, I genuinely thought that he would go to Newcastle. When we got him, it was a real coup. And I do think that he will be the single biggest influence in our team, not only this season, but moving forward as this next period under Ange Postecoglou. He's just simply immense. And we're seeing that. He will create 10 assists. He will score at least 10 goals this season. It fills a massive hole, which has been left by Harry. And in many ways, I agree with you, Hasper, that he more than fills a void that was left by Eriksen for some years now. So we're lucky to have him. If he stays fit, we're going to have a really good season.
Yeah, we sure are. Crackers, talk to me about James Maddison.
I'll start with one thing. £40 million, Harry.
What a bargain.
£40 million. Now, to you and I, £40 million is eye-watering. But in the mad world of football, it's buttons. It is absolute buttons. And when you look at some of the players and the money that they've gone for.
Casado, Havertz now.
There you go. Rice as well.
Rice,
listen, Rice, be under no illusions. Rice is a decent player, he's a good player and a good lad. I know he plays for that lot, but there is a good lad. I put a lot of importance on how good people are, not just how good footballers they are. So, but you cannot tell me that Rice is 1.5 times better than Maddison. You know, it's just not happening. Or Casado. I mean, it's just not. So at £40 million, look, if we'd have given £100 million, hello, Daniel Levy, spending £100 million on a player, but had we have paid £100 million for him, which seems to be the going rate for a player of that caliber, none of us would be complaining. We still would not be complaining. And we'd have said that, that's still good business at £100 million. So that kind of now makes me feel better that we completely wasted £60 million on Tanguy Ndombele. So we're back to par, because if you had Ndombele and the money we paid for Maddison is £100 million. So we're now back on level terms, really. It's just shows you the snakes and ladders, doesn't it, of football? You go down the snake of one and up the ladder of another player, don't you? So 40 million, he's such a delight to watch. I'm with a lot of people and what they've said about him. I didn't realise he was that good. I knew he was a good player, but watching him, week in, week out, as Haz said, you had an idea that he was a decent player at Leicester, but you watch him now, watch him closer because it's your team. Wow, he's a player. I see him checking in for England duty today, and it was like, please don't get injured, please don't get injured, please don't get injured. It's like, you just don't want it. Yeah, it's I like him, and he not just the football aspect of him as a character as well. He seems to have come in. He seems to have pulled people together. He's that right character in the middle there as well. He's loving being there. He's loving bringing everybody in and making them part of a team, as they all are. They're all feeding into that. So, he's not like he's a mercurial talent, but a little bit moody
And
and
he
a little
settled
bit
in
off.
so quickly, Crackers. He settled in so
Exactly.
quickly.
Yeah. He's almost that born to play for Spurs vibe to him, isn't there? No, he's a really, really important player for us. Love him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to another guy who's been quite important this season that was doubted at times last season, especially by Luke, a fellow co-host of Part Lane Podcast. I love to bring it up, especially because of that. And that is Christian Romero, obviously on the score sheet against Burnley. So coming to you, Haz, what do you make of his season so far? Because, I mean, you may disagree, but for me, it looks like the players calmed down a lot. So what do you put that down to? Because obviously you've got lots of different reasons that could be.
Well, you could throw me in the same camp as Luke. I was like, when I saw his captain, I was like, oh no, this is going to go so badly. Because I was like, he's either going to carry on being a lunatic and getting sent off and then he's going to set a bad example for everyone else, or he's going to, like, it could have gone one of both ways. But I feel like he's calmed down. Maybe the vice captaincy is a factor. Maybe it is because he feels like he has to be more responsible with what he does, and he has. But I do think Van der Ven is also a huge part of it too, because now he has a partner who he actually probably likes to play with and become more comfortable with, and doesn't have a look over his shoulder. Because I feel like when I watched him last season, and people might hate me for saying this, but he felt like, and he knew he was better than the other defenders, so he kind of felt like he could do what he wants. But now, because you have a capable player beside him and obviously capable fullbacks now, I feel like he feels like he's got players on his level or similar to his level, so maybe he respects them more. Maybe that's another factor. But or maybe he's matured. I mean, it could be all the factors, but I'm just happy that he's calmed down, because now we're seeing like a really confident, calm Romero, and obviously his goal kind of shows that, because I don't think he would have taken that on last season.
No, I completely agree. Okay, thank you. There's definitely lots of reasons it could be. For me, it's the fact that, you've got a reliable partner, I think, in Van der Ven next to him, which he hasn't had before. I felt at times last season, I would like to know what you guys think, but it felt like for me, Romero was... They took on that responsibility, like getting in there for the late tackle happened. I remember at Anfield where we gave away a penalty. He won't be able to do that with Van der Ven because he'll trust Van der Ven, but at the time he didn't trust Dyer to get there, so he's got to get there himself. Because you see him for Argentina, he's not this rash, but like you say, vice captain could be a big part. New manager, having to prove to him why he should still be in the team is important. Craig, what do you reckon? What do you put it down to? Romero obviously calmed down a lot this season.
I don't think it's that he's calmed down. I think he's still the same player. I think he's playing in a team where he's not being asked to defend for 70 minutes of the game. He's in a team that's playing possession-based football. He doesn't need to be that rash. He doesn't need to put them last-ditch challenges in. It's just the way that we're playing just suits him. There's no coincidence that we see in the Romero playing for Spurs in his first 4 games that we see playing for Argentina. Well, what's the common denominator between both styles of play? Well, they dominate ball possession. He's not having to defend for large periods of the game. He's not camped out in his defensive third. He's defending high at the halfway line. These are all things that bring out the best in these players that we've got. We're seeing the best of Romero because of that. I absolutely think being thrust into the leadership position that he has been helps. I think it's not just about him as an individual. I think having that responsibility, knowing that he is the number one defender, he is the main man that Ange is relying on in terms of developing this team and putting out good defensive performance on the pitch and controlling that back four is helping. But overall, we're just playing a way of football that suits him. The same that we're playing a way of the football that suits Van der Ven, that suits Porro and suits Udogie. We asked that back four to do Uno ball or Conte ball and defend for 70 minutes on the edge of their box. We'll concede goals. Guaranteed. Yeah. We will look at them players and go, they're not able to play in this position. They're not good enough defensively. They're not good enough offensively. We'll have all the same criticisms. We'll have worse criticisms. So that's my take on it. It's not that he's changed or developed or evolved. It's we're playing the best. We're playing to the best of him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's another, really valid and probably a main reason. I actually didn't think of that, if I'm honest. Crackers, would you put it down to? You think it's a bit of everything, or is there one thing you put it down to?
Yeah, I think Haz and Craig are spot on, really. If you're facing 50-60% less attacks because you're on the front foot, you instantly cut down your chances there. Then put alongside of him a decent partner that cuts it down again. So you could be looking at sort of maybe 60-65% less moments where, you know, he's facing attack after attack and trying to do the job of two central defenders because he's not had a decent enough partner next to him. Adding to that, Udogie one side, Porro the other, and what's looking like a great goalkeeper behind. You know, there's the drummer of the band, your goalkeeper, and there's some reassurance of that back four now that if they do not do their job properly, you've still got then a really good chance of Vicario making a great save. So I wonder as well whether Romero's come to the fore a little bit, because we've now seen a lot of the old guard and a lot of the big personalities in the dressing room being eased and refreshed out of the lineup, like the Dyer, even Harry Kane to a degree. You know, there's a lot. I think a lot of that players committee, as it was referred to last season, have now been put aside, sent out, you know, gone to live on the farm somewhere, like an old dog when it's come to its end. So I think even that has opened a pathway for some of this new guard to actually, but was there before, like, you know, when Dyer exactly, you know, was about, but now they've been moved aside. So I think their personality, their stamp is being put on this squad. So yeah, there's a lot of factors feeding into it. So, but long may it continue. He looks transformed, Romero.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Crackers, for that. Listen, we've got to talk about Heung-min Son. Hat trick. Looks like he's back. So, guys, if you are listening live on YouTube, get involved in the chat. Let us know what you think about Son's performance. And is Son back? How many goals can he score this season? Let us know. So, yeah, coming back to you, Haz. So, Leslie, how good was he against Burnley? But the main question I want to know is, do you play him down the middle from now on? Because I questioned it before the game. Was it the right thing to do? You know, there's a reason I'm not a manager. He goes and scores a hat trick. So this is everything.
I think there were a few factors to him obviously playing well. It wasn't just himself. But Son, we've seen over the years when Harry's been injured, or when, you know, we've had other strikers like even Llorente been injured. He's come in and he's done a job. He scored in like a batch of, say, 5 games. He's got like 10 goals or 8 goals or something like that. So he's done it in like short periods of time when he's been the main man. And even under Nuno, I hate to bring this up, but the first game of the season when Kane refused to play for like a while, he started the first game and scored the winner against City, if you guys don't remember. Like, he's come in when Kane's been out and he's done a job and he's stepped up, right? So now Kane's gone completely. It's now just, I guess, Son. And obviously he stepped up because he's the club captain, right? So I think the big factor as well with Son's success on the weekend was Solomon, which we might talk about later on. But I think Solomon played more to Son's strengths, and obviously Maddison as well. And if you're going to get something out of Son, you need to play sort of through balls most of the time rather than crosses. And in midweek, we played Perisic with Richarlison, where it was more crosses. So Richarlison is like a taller player, so he's going to head more goals, right, compared to Son. So I do think he can do it, but it's early days. And I don't want to like come on here and say, "Oh, Son's going to score like 30 goals," because you just don't know. But I think we need to just give it a go for the next 5 games. I think, to see how it goes. If he carries on this run and scores like another, say, 4 goals in the next 5 games or 3 goals in the next 5 games, then I say we'll just stick with it. But we just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. Craig, talk to me about Son.
Well, I love Son. Son scoring a hat trick on the weekend, to use an Avengers reference, it's inevitable. You know, it wasn't about where he's playing on the left or the right or in the centre. Son's just a class act. He's proven that in the time that he's been at Spurs. He will score. I will go all out, Hasper. I will say he will score, at least 20 goals this season, because he will.
Wow,
because well, I'll tell you why I think that as well. Because the number of chances that we're creating as a team this season overall means that we're going to have the opportunities. He's going to get the chances in the box, in and around the box, and we will see him put a lot of those away. He scored when he got Premier League top goal scorer a couple of seasons ago. It was with Harry Kane in the team playing at number 9. You know, he doesn't need to play at number 9 to score goals. He did it coming in from the left and the right. So what we've got this season with that front three is total fluidity, and we've got, so you know, as I said, we've got options all over it. Solomon on the left, Solomon on the right, Richarlison for the middle, Sonny for the middle, Perisic on the left. You know, you name it. The new signing we've just got in from Forest, you know, is going to come in. Yeah. So there's goals everywhere across that front three, and there's flexibility and agility across that front three. So, you know, Sonny will score goals. He'll score goals because he's a class act, and he's proven he can do it over many seasons. And he'll score goals because he's got Maddison feeding him. And not just Maddison, he's got Solomon feeding him, and he's got Perisic feeding him, and he's got Bissouma feeding him. You know, these are all the things. It's different. It's a different team to last year. You know, you put that many chances in Sonny's basket, he's going to put the vast majority away over the course of a season. Yeah. So, yeah, not a surprise. 3 goals. He'll probably go on and score another 2 at the weekend and score a couple of big goals against the big teams we've got in a couple of weeks. In the next couple of weeks is my take.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Craig. Crackers, talk to me about Son and talk to me about each of the goals he scored. You know, did they impress you? What's your favourite one?
Well, let me start by just giving you a name. Councillor Raja Khan. He's the current mayor of Burnley. And let me tell you, he won't be giving Heung-min Son the freedom of Burnley anytime soon, because it was versus them that he got the Puskas goal as well, wasn't it, back in 2020? They must be utterly sick of the man in Burnley, mustn't he? He's a real bane to them. No, listen, three lovely goals from him. Pick for me has to be the first one. The first one was just absolutely sublime. I was saying on Last Word on Spurs a couple of nights ago that in that instance, 999 out of 1,000 strikers up and down the land on a Sunday morning on the marshes, and even through to the pro game, would have put their laces through that. And then you're in the lap of the gods, whether, you know, the defender gets a knee or a shin to it, or, you know, keeper gets a hand to it. Honestly, with that little touch, the pair of them nearly had to pay to come back in. I mean, he properly sent the pair of them out and come back with a strawberry flavoured one. It was absolutely sublime. So it just shows you what he is capable of when he's firing. To get into that moment and then think to do that, you kind of think to yourself, you know what, if Lionel Messi does that, we're seeing it every 10 seconds on Sky Sports News and this streaming channel and that streaming channel. You know, but it was absolutely incredible. He took 3 fairly different goals, didn't he? 2 and 3, similar-ish. Could have had another couple as well. So, look, I don't want to besmirch Burnley, but like I said to you, we are going to have some tougher tests. I'll be happy for him just to get one, if it's the winning one versus Arsenal or the winning one versus Liverpool. You're going to take that all day long. So, you know, if he gets 6 or 7 goals this season, but those 6 or 7 are 3 points like against City, or 3 points against Chelsea, 3 points against Arsenal, Liverpool, teams up and around there. You'll take that all day long. So, but I don't think he will. I think Craig's right. I think he's going to bag a good few. There was in the comments a little while ago, somebody was saying he was joint Golden Boot winner with Salah. You know, just what was that? A couple of seasons back. I think that was that same season, when it 2020. So he's more than got it in his locker. A fantastic performance from him. Really, really a delight to watch.
Yeah, thank you for that, Crackers. So the last individual I want to focus on is someone who came out a lot of criticism, was dismissed, in my opinion, unfairly. I think that's showing now in pre-season and before it even kicked a ball in the Premier League, and that is Vicario. It has to be discussed. So coming to you, Craig, because Vicario was called, every name under the sun. He was called cheap option, etc. Levy at it again. So I want you to tell me, how well has Vicario done, and how wrong were people to write him off?
Well, I mean, all I would say is lucky that we don't pick our players from Twitter polls or X polls, as it's called now.
We'd be in the Championship.
Clearly, we would be in a bad place. You've got to put your trust and faith in the scouting network that exists at the club, and of course, you're right. We're right to be critical of the signings that we've made. Ndombele, Crackers talked about before, 60-odd million flop. But none of us thought it was a flop when he signed. By the way, I think we was all over the moon when Ndombele signed for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So, but that all said, in the main, the scouting network that has been put in place in recent years has, in the main, produced good outcomes. Udogi, Bissouma, Vicario is one of the ones that come out of that, and there's many other examples. So, I didn't necessarily see him as a cheap option. I saw him as, on paper, the first or second best goalkeeper in the Italian league. We're signing one of the best goalkeepers in Europe on paper. So he always had the potential to come in and do well. Has he been tested properly yet? I don't think he has. I think we've been, he's had shots at that stage. He's done what he needed to do, but I think there's going to be bigger opposition, and it's certainly against Arsenal and Liverpool to come. But we'll see. But, early days are, he's a really good keeper. He suits the Ange way of play, the style of play. He's clearly given the defenders confidence in him, because they recognise that if they do get through, the chance he's going to save it, and he plays out to the back and gives them more confidence. So overall, I'm ecstatic with him at this point. But like I say, he will make mistakes. Let's not try and paper over it. He will make some errors, as did Lloris in his early days at Tottenham. And in his later days as well. But he's a great goalkeeper for us. He's definitely an improvement on Lloris in his later years at the club as he aged. And, if he's Ange's man, I'm all behind him 100% of the way.
Absolutely. Crackers, talk to me about Vicario, because he was dismissed, wasn't he, very early by the fan base. And I think, like Craig says, I think it has to be called out. I'm glad fans on Twitter, some fans, of course, not all, and maybe not that many at all, but, make these strange judgments. Same with Bentancur, same with Kulusevski. It just looks like the same with Johnson now. I love it when they get proved wrong. I think this is a perfect instance. So what do you make of how he's done so far?
Well, I think that's the curse of social media, isn't it? Because, when I were a lad, as they say, and we didn't have such things, you might have been down the pub and after a pre-season game and you go, don't much fancy that new Italian boy in goal. And it'd have been a throwaway comment, and you may well have got away with it if your mates have had like maybe one or two beers too many. But now it's there for everyone to see. It's there forevermore, isn't it? So look, everybody sometimes makes snap judgments on players that returns to haunt them, doesn't it? But I think with Vicario, there's a character there. His nickname is Venom, isn't it? He's mad as a box of frogs. He's a goalkeeper, of course he is. That's my youngest son. He's training at the moment. Another one, mad as they're all mad. Goalkeepers are absolute lunatics.
He has to be part of the job.
You exactly that. So now he's settled. His character's coming out. I mean, you see that save he made on Saturday and celebrated it like a goal, and so he should, because big saves to goalkeepers are the same as big goals to strikers, and that's what I absolutely love to see. And Craig was saying, when we come up against Arsenal and Liverpool, in some respects a shot, isn't it? Whether it's Haaland or somebody up front from whichever team, if a shot comes in and it's rifling into the top right corner at 65, 70 miles an hour, it doesn't matter who's let it off. But every shot, it seems so far, he's dealt with like that, some big shots. I want to see him tested a little bit. Well, I don't, because I don't want to see us in that position. But let's see how he is with a lot of stuff, maybe a one-on-one or a little flick or something. He's dealt with a lot of those absolute rockets really well. So let's see what he's like with other aspects of his keeping. But so far, everything I've seen of him has been absolutely magnificent. I would have backed him to actually save that Romero shot and goal on Saturday, or at least got some fingers to it. But, you know, if you look at Trafford, I really love, he's a really good prospect, young keeper that went from City to Burnley. But you look at Trafford, and then you look at Vicario, night and day, absolute night and day as goalkeepers. So, but as I said, he sets the tempo. He takes the ball. He's looking to get us on the front foot again really, really quickly. So he's an important, integral part of that team. It's not just a goalkeeper. As soon as he's got that ball, he's edge of the box, and he's putting it out there to try and get us attacking. One thing I did notice Saturday was in that first 15, 20 minutes of the game, Burnley had our number with that type of build-up almost. So they come up quite high line, where Vicario wasn't able to roll a ball, kick a ball short for us to start to build up. So he went sort of semi-long kick almost to the, like, just over the halfway line. But nearly every time we conceded possession. So that's something that, you know, we're going to have to look at. I'm sure the data analysis people at Spurs would have seen that, and they're going to have to work something out, because if we face that again from a more decent team, we can't keep giving away possession like that. So yeah, you know, but work in progress, aren't we? We're 3-4 games into this new revolution. We'll work it out. But yeah, it's for now, Vicario, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Crackers. I think a lot of people echo what you said there. And a little stat there for people who didn't know. I didn't know this myself. He's got the most points of any keeper in FPL. That's not something you expect usually as keeper of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who, as we know, do like to make mistakes and concede goals. So I find that pretty amazing. So I'm going to go around one by one now, and just want a one-word answer for you all. Your man of the match. We justify that later. So starting with you, Craig, who is your man of the match?
Sonny,
thank you. Crackers?
So I'm going to go Solomon.
Okay, something different. Thank you. He's certainly good. Couple of assists to his name. Haz.
Maddison.
Okay, thank you very much. 3 different players. I always love that. So moving on to what is actually achievable this season. So I'm going to come back to you, Haz. How far can we go? Obviously, we don't want to get too carried away. Joint best start compared to last season under Conte, but I think the football we're playing is different and in a completely different place. But there's still be people who, don't want to get that carried away, and that's completely fine, because as a Spurs fan, you don't want to get carried away at all. You never know what's just around the corner, as we were discussing beforehand. So what is achievable, Haz? Top 4, getting back into Europe, closing the gap to the top teams. Talk to me.
I think Champions League or top 4 or top 5, because top 5 gets Champions League now. Yeah. Apparently, if your coefficient's high enough, I think it's more than achievable. I do think it will be dependent on our injuries in the back line, if I'm being honest, because I think we're stocked in midfield and we're stocked in the attack. So even if we get like a small knock here and there in the midfield and attack, I think we'll be all right. But if Van der Ven or Romero go down, I think with Sanchez going, I can't quite worry now, because obviously he's going to even put Davies there, or he's going to try Phillips, who's quite untested in there. So if we can get through, say if Van der Ven gets like a 3-month injury or Romero gets a 3-month injury, I think we're in trouble. But if they can both stay fit, then I think we'll be all right.
Okay.
I think the half for me is like the biggest question mark.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point. And Crackers, what exactly is achievable this season? Are you getting carried away yet? You on the Ange train properly? All the way?
What's achievable is winning the league, Harry. Simple as that.
Oh, why not? We can do it.
I'm telling you, because why not? Why not? Going with that belief, going with that hope. Realistically, you'd go maybe dial it down a bit, but it is achievable. If it was achievable for Leicester, it's achievable for us.
I like
It's
that.
as simple as that. Because so far, what I've seen, Arsenal could have lost that yesterday, and we absolutely easily beat Man United. So there's them all over the place. Chelsea don't know who they are or where they are or what's what with their £1 billion spend. So they're still feeling their way through things. And really, from now, Arsenal, as I said, if Man City, look, it's Man City, isn't it? Other than that, I can't see why not. Now, with a little bit of luck, no injuries, couple of decent results, couple of things go our way, who knows? So you have to have that hope. You have to have that belief. If you want those players to believe they can do it, because if they don't, then they're not fully committing themselves to what they are as professional footballers. So, yeah, why not? Why not?
I love the positivity.
Until you can't, you can. It's as simple as that. And you have to believe you can. That's what being a football fan is all about. It will be your year. So, but then I thought we'd win the League Cup this year. So what do I know?
Oh, yeah, there you go. I definitely thought it was our best chance of winning the trophy. So there you go. Completely blown it. Completely other subject. Let's not get into that. Let's remain positive. Craig, what can we achieve this season? How far can we actually go?
Well, if we can win the league, we can win the FA Cup, right? So why is that not a best chance? As good a chance as the League Cup? Yeah, well, exactly. And we will treat it seriously. I generally think, that what Ange said after the League Cup, as disappointing as it was, it did make a bit of sense to me. He's got to see these players, he's got to test these players, he's got to look at them. And if not that game, when was he going to do it? Now, regardless of the outcome, it was 1-1 going into full time. The penalty shootout could have been completely different. We could have won the penalty shootout, and we wouldn't be talking about the fact that he made 9 changes in that tie. It was the lap of the penalty gods. Okay, Sanchez's penalty wasn't the best, but anyway, the point is we got it to penalty. So I'm with Crackers. Why can't we win the league? Why can't we be aspiring to win the league? We should be. And I was going to use the Leicester analogy exactly the same way. Leicester did it. We're playing 1 game a week. That's the difference. We're playing 1 game a week. Yeah. Man City, Liverpool, Manchester United, etc., are all going to have Europe coming up, Champions League coming up. The deeper they go into those competitions, the better for us in terms of what we're going to do in the league. Chelsea did it, didn't they? They won the league after finishing 6th or 7th the year before when they had 1 game a week. Why can't we do it?
Do you know what as well, Harry? We have got to kind of get behind every team in the Champions League this year as well. Now, I'm not gonna say any more than that, other than we need to, because if the English teams go deep in the competition this year, the coefficient means we get a 5th spot in the competition for next season. So, I mean, not that it'll matter to us because we're winning the league, but if we don't, it does go down to position 5 if our coefficient's good enough from the teams playing in it this year. So, let's see. We need that Champions League back, don't we? Oh man, I'm missing it already. I ain't even started.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to outgoings today, because there's been a lot of transfer activity, because obviously transfer windows shut, but some transfer windows, including the Saudi Arabian window, still open. Ongoing discussions, for example, Liverpool with Salah. That's a big talking point. The money's huge. Like Cracker said, what's happened to the market? What a lot of money, potential 200 million bid incoming. But focusing on Tottenham, so we've got the Sanchez to Galatasaray permanent transfer. Here we go from Fabrizio Romero. Fee between 10 and 15 million euros, including add-ons, like I said, reported by Fabrizio Romero. So coming to you, Craig, is it the right thing to do to sell him, considering we left Tanganga leave, we let Rodon leave, and we haven't didn't bring in a centre back on deadline day? Can you understand why the club are doing this?
Well, it's a risk. Clearly, it's a risk. You've got to have faith in the fact that Ange is very clear about who he wants at this football club and who he doesn't want at this football club. And if he's made a decision that Sanchez is one of those that he doesn't necessarily see as the future of the club, then get the money for him, from Galatasaray while we can, and go what we've got. We're playing one game a week between now and January. It's not like we've got Monday, Tuesday fixtures, and we're going to be putting these players under
There's no
stress.
excuses.
No, exactly. We're going to be playing every single week. We've got youngsters on the bench. We've got the lad we signed, Phillips, in the summer. From all accounts, Ange is very positive about him and what he can bring. Ben Davies will act as much as it will hate people and trigger people. Ben Davies will be that spare, that second backup left side of centre back. Phillips will come in. We've got the other youth player that's just been promoted. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. Top of my head, I've completely blanked.
Dorrington, Phillips.
Dorrington's just been promoted as well into the first team squad. So, you have faith in Ange. We're doing the best thing. This is part of the rebuild that's been needed for so long at Spurs. Indeed. And if getting this senior guard out of players that have been part of the culture this club has had over the last few years out, and wiping starting afresh with these young players, similar to what we had under the Poch, is what Ange wants to do. I'm all for it. So yeah, get them out. Go with what we've got, and I'm sure in January we will strengthen the centre back if we need to.
Yeah. If people are listening live on YouTube, thank you for the support we're dealing with a sad individual who's coming here just to troll. These people will be removed instantly and are not welcomed here at Scarvy's Personal, but the show must go on. No time for saddos. So coming back to you, Haz, what do you make of the club potentially definitely letting Sanchez go to Galatasaray? Is it risky? Can you understand it?
I have to disagree here. I would have kept Sanchez at least till January, because we do lack cover in that position, as I mentioned before in my previous point. And I do think it makes it even stranger that he played him in against Fulham, because if we knew he was going, why was he even playing? Why was Højbjerg playing? Why did he play such a rested side when a lot of these players apparently were already on their way out? So he didn't really need to see them again. That's why I disagree with Craig. Just to come back on that, sorry, mate. The same reason that he played Kane all the way through pre-season. I think Kane's different though, because he wanted a send off. So it wasn't a send off. That's not this. In my opinion, that's not the same. He knew. And just come out and said quite openly that Kane. He knew from the day he came into this football club that Kane was likely to leave. So I had an issue with the fact that he continued, particularly that last pre-season friendly at home against Shakhtar Donetsk. I didn't see the value in playing Kane in that game, knowing that was his last game though, in front of the Spurs
exactly.
But that's a bit different.
Yeah. But one of the biggest criticisms has been that we're too sentimental as a club. Oh, we all hang on to the sentimental stuff. We do things to, and it's not the right thing. But going back to why he's playing him because he's available, and he had no one else to play. I'm saying I would have rested so many players. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just
because if Sanchez was on his way out already, well, there's no point in playing him in that game.
Well, I don't think he was on his way out. That's the thing. We probably don't know if he was on his way out. It sounds if he was.
They were trying to sell him.
It could have just been
like 3 or 4.
We was trying to sell him, but no offers were on. The only offers come in this week today.
We got a 10 million offer, I think, the other day. If I remember, I'm not wrong. Anyway, I can't remember.
That's what's being reported. But moving on, before we move on, Crackers, I come to you to get your thoughts on this. What do you make of the club letting Sanchez leave? Is it the right thing to do? Is it risky? Will it pay off? That's the big question.
Well, I think the whole thing with Ange's reign at the moment has been risk and reward, hasn't it? So the way we play, and now maybe the way we're operating with players that are there. So I mean, I was a little bit divided with Sanchez. Some weeks he could come in and play and look really good, and then other weeks, 1 week he's a well beaten, next week he's a panel beater, isn't he? But look, he's obviously not in the long-term plans of Ange. An offer's come, which may have been a little bit of a take it or leave it this window offer rather than Jan. So you have to look at that and then go, okay, how many games have we got? We might need a little bit of luck here and have no injuries at centre back, and we get through to January. and then bring in some quality players. Trouble that you've got is in January, it's difficult to do the quality and caliber of player that you need, but it's not doable. So it's certainly more difficult. He's not in the plans, nor's on Dembele, nor's Rodon. As fans, we're always saying, right, we need to get rid of the deadwood. So, if he's looked upon as deadwood, I know it's a bit of a harsh terminology, but that's what's used. So the club are getting rid of him. So you can't go get rid of the deadwood and then go, no, don't get rid of the deadwood. You can't have it. You can't have it both ways, can you? So, don't know. As people know, I'm no real fan of Enoch or Mr. Daniel Levy, as you've probably seen on social media.
Oh, yes.
But with this, you could turn around and say, well done, the club. You're backing your manager. He's made the decision that he doesn't want these people. It's a bit risky, but there's an offer there on the table that's worth taking. They've taken a hit on him as well because he was 60 million euros, was he, when we brought him in? He hasn't worked out. So off he trots. It's an unsentimental, harsh game, isn't it? So, yes, we're going to be a little bit short, but this is all the revolution. And it was never getting sorted in one window. I think that we could have really got the insurance of getting that centre-back this window. I think we was only one decent centre-back signing away from having a really, really good window. So Enoch, Daniel Levy could have been a little bit more adventurous and a little bit more daring to bring in that centre-back cover so that Sanchez could just go no matter what, really. But it hasn't happened. We are where we are. So let's hope and pray that we now get through to January with the current centre-back pairing and then upgrade from there. So, good luck to him, though, with Sanchez.
100%.
I didn't dislike him because he took a lot of crap, didn't he, off the terraces, hell of a lot. And he's chewed it up, spat it out, and always given his all. I'll take somebody like Sanchez all day long over somebody like Ndembele that just doesn't seem to give 100%. One flying hoot. So, wherever he goes, I wish him all the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Crackers. And moving on to the other player who's going to make way, and that's Tanguy Ndombele to Galatasaray. Here we go. Agreement in place over loan deal. Ndombele has already completed first part of medical, and he's currently flying to Istanbul. And there is a buy option included, which is clever, I think, anyway, from the club. That has been reported by Fabrizio Romano. Craig, coming back to you, good deal or bad deal for the club? I know my answer.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see Ndombele stick around. The only thing I'm disappointed at is another loan deal. So I'm sure there's every chance Galatasaray will realise
they might want to buy him
on their hands. Well, they might want to buy him, but history tells us that not many clubs that take him on they do. So, he's got to go. He had to get out of the club.
100%.
Like I say, it'd be better if it's a buy option now, but it's a loan. He's gone, and let's see what happens in the summer. And let's hope that we don't see Ndombele back again next pre-season.
Well, there you go. Haz, talk to me. Tanguy Ndombele.
I'm just grateful he's gone. I mean, obviously in midfield, we have more than enough cover there. We have like 6-7 midfielders, so it's not really a big loss in that sense. And Ndombele, unfortunately, is a player where he has so much talent and ability, but he doesn't have the application or the attitude to actually play. He kind of reminds a bit of Adebayor, unfortunately, who, when he wanted to play, he was like the best player. When he didn't, it was like non-existent. He wasn't even there. But for me, Ndombele's time was up when he walked off against, was it Morecambe? In the FA Cup last season?
Yeah, Morecambe, I was there.
For some reason, I always think it's Wickham, but Morecambe. So I think his time was done after that, and he was always going to go. But even before that, you could argue that after Mourinho, we should have sold him, because I'm a kind of guy who gives like 2 years to a player. If they don't show me anything in 2 years, I just get rid. So his time was ticking from there for me. But for the club, since Morecambe, he should have been bombed out.
Yeah, I completely agree. Crackers, briefly talk to me about Tanguy Ndombele and your thoughts. And are you happy that he's gone?
You said you'd done your first part of his medical. Is that right, Harry?
Yes, yeah. And the second part will be when he flies to get there.
I'm just imagining him on the treadmill at about 3 kilometers an hour, isn't he? Like that, just that slow.
He need a takeaway to help him get through it.
Oh man, Harry, I absolutely detest Tanguy Ndombele. I really, really do dislike him. I've never met him, by the way, but here's a man who has unbelievable talent and ability. Saw an interview with Gareth Bale, and they asked him the best player he's ever sort of played with, trained with, and without hesitation, he said Tanguy Ndombele. Yeah. He said he was absolutely incredible. He says he thinks he's an incredible footballer. Now you've got this man who's got all the ability and talent in the world. And you see kids like my son, he's a goalkeeper, all right, different position, but he burns to be a pro footballer. Absolutely burns. He's out running every day. He's dedicated. His diet's right. He certainly doesn't get all this from me. I don't know where it comes from, but he absolutely aches to be a footballer. And you've got somebody there that's got it in bucket loads and just absolutely throwing it away, throwing the whole thing away. And that's why I dislike him. I really do dislike him. The quicker he's out of our club, the better. I hope they go on to buy him. I'd give him away if somebody takes his contract on. I really would. He's just an awful waste of a talent and a career, and I'm sure one day he will grow up and regret this, because every ex-player that I work with and do my evenings with will all tell you that, well, some will tell you that they retired too early, and some will tell you that they got every last drop out of it, and even so they still miss it every day. They still miss it every day playing. So he will regret one day. He absolutely will.
Absolutely. Thank you, Crackers. And the sad thing is he'll regret it. But the time I think it even gets round to that, because of the mentality of the individual, I think it sadly will be too late. And that's a sad thing, because he's got the ability, he's got the world at his feet. He has the ability. He could be top, in Europe and across the world. We've seen it in glimpses. We've seen it in training. We've seen it on the pitch. He can do it. But it's the attitude that lets him down. It's a shame, really, because he's got so much motivation as well. I mean, you can't get, no more motivation than to want to win trophies with Tottenham, surely. But moving on, I want a one-word answer from you all to rate our transfer window out of 10. This is going to be interesting. This is what lots of people have been waiting for. Craig, rate it out of 10. I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, you come to me first there, annoyingly.
Indeed.
Out of 10, 6.
Okay. 6 out of 10 from Craig. Crackers.
5.9.
I love it.
And could have and should have been an 8, one centre back away from being an 8.5 window. That's the thing. One short FC we are.
Always. Haz, talk to me. Give it a rating out of 10.
5.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's low. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Before we move on, last but not least, the prediction for Sheffield United and the questions that people put forward on Twitter this morning. So thank you for your patience. There's a lot to get through tonight. The club don't help, because there's never a quiet day at Tottenham Hotspur. Just as I think it'll be a fairly quiet show, have a lot to get through, plan a lot, wondering if I have enough. Boom, Ndombele and Sanchez go out the door. So there you go. Good old Tottenham. But so before we do move on, I want to discuss Brennan Johnson, because there's a few Forest fans, big up to them in the chat, big up to them for tuning in, who really rate Johnson highly and wanted me to bring it up tonight. Fair play to them. So Haz, starting with you first, do you think Brennan Johnson will be a good signing? Can you understand the signing, and do you think it'll be a good addition?
Well, if you spoke to me like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago before the season started, I'd have been like, no. But seeing more and more of Kulusevski down the right-hand side, I have to say this is a good signing, because right now I think Kulusevski's position is definitely up for grabs, whether it's Solomon or Paris. I don't know, either Perisic on the right, or we've got loads of options on the wings and up front. So I think Brennan Johnson will come in and will challenge Kulusevski immediately for his position. If not, maybe in the next few weeks, maybe he'll take it if Kulusevski carries on this route where he's playing, because I just don't think he suits playing down the right in this system personally. So Johnson, I think, will play. Also, the advantage with Johnson is that he can play in the middle. He did that for Forest a bit. He can play on the left, so he has got that versatility. And I do think he'll be a good signing in the end, but I maybe won't see the best of him until like 1 or 2 years' time when he like matures as a player. So yeah, so I think it'll be a success, but we might have to wait a while.
Yeah. I hate waiting. Crackers, talk to me about Brennan Johnson, and for any Forest fans are tuning in. How good was he for Forest?
Well, funny enough, when Sanchez signed, I had Ajax fans tweeting me saying, "You've got a real gem now," and that didn't quite happen. So, just be a little bit careful with how excited you get about players, because it is a step up from Forest. There's no getting away from that. I love Forest. I love Forest fans. They're a proper club. But it's different coming to a place like Spurs. There's different expectations now. So he has to step up to that. But again, if you're signing the person behind the footballer as well, he is a really good, grounded lad who's got a great family around him. There's a good mum and dad and good family unit around him. So that will make a good difference. And he's a good character. So I think it's important to be as good a person as it is a footballer under Ange. I think you've got 100%. To come and fit in as a person, not just as a player. So he's a little bit one for the future, but if his trajectory stays the same as it has thus far, then we've got a very, very decent player on our hands. So let's hope it pans out. They don't all, but let's hope he does. But it's a good signing on the face of it, because he's an excellent prospect.
Absolutely. Thank you. Crackers, Craig, talk to me, Brennan Johnson, and your thoughts on the deal and the price tag as well, because you can't ignore the price tag.
Yeah, just shy of 50 million, 47.5 million. I would say Tottenham don't ordinarily spend that sort of money for them to sit on the bench, but Richarlison, 60 odd million, has sat on the bench for pretty much his whole Spurs time. So I don't think that's particularly correct. But I think we've signed him as much as Crackers has said, for the player he is, the man he is. He's a young player. He's clearly very, very, has great potential. His ceiling is high. He's obviously well driven. He wants to go to the next level, and he sees Spurs as a club that can do it, and they are the club that can help him with that. I think the fact he's homegrown is massive. I think that's clearly a priority for the club in that last few days of the transfer window. So it ticks all the boxes. He adds to that array of attacking talent that we've got in the side. He's done enough at Forest to show that he can do some great things at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So let's see how he grows, and let's see how he develops in the next season. But yeah, he will certainly be there or thereabouts to start in 11, I'm sure.
Okay. I really think he could start over Kulusevski, because the way Kulusevski's playing down the right is a real chance he's going to get a game now. Yeah.
And that's the great thing, isn't it, mate? That's the great thing about the squad we've got now, particularly that front lineup. There is options all over the place. So if a player dips out of form, you can bring someone else in to replace, which we couldn't necessarily do in previous seasons. So yeah, exactly. So it should be, but it's how it should be, isn't it? Kulusevski should be able to, and any player should look at it and know that if I'm not playing up to scratch, there's someone else that's going to come in and do the business. So it keeps the levels high.
Absolutely. Thank you all. And before we get on to, like I said, because we always do leave it to the end, the questions that people put forward, podcast or Twitter, we've got between 15 and 20 people listening live. So thank you very much for your patience. That's impressive for the very end of the show. Obviously, the show's still new. So thank you very much. Good to see you like looking at me and you like listening to me. Always good to know. I take that as a big compliment. No. But moving on, the big question, the prediction for the Sheffield United game. So Crackers, coming to you first. Give me your brief thoughts on the game and your score prediction, please.
The way we're playing, I fancy us against anyone.
Love it.
I think we could hand out another hiding here, to be honest. So we certainly 0-1 from that cup game, didn't we? That's for sure. Making me go all the way up to Sheffield in the cold. poor Canarian Spanish boy in the frozen tundras of the north and having to watch that get served up. So
that was horrible.
I think we could actually knock another 4-5. But look, if we win 1-0, so be it. But I do fancy us again to get a hatful. Ask me after the international break because I want to see everybody come back not in plastic boots or on crutches or strapped up. So, but if we all come back fit and well, we could hand out another really good hiding now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Craig, give me a prediction.
We will, injury permitting, we'll play the same 11 that started the last game, and we will probably win the game 4-1. That's my prediction.
But I'm loving the positivity. Long may this continue. Please don't do another film against Spurs because we love the positivity here. Haz prediction. Keep it positive.
2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs. Okay, I'll take it.
I think it'll be a late goal. Actually, I don't think it'll be an easy game.
As long as we win, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
As long as we get the job done. Oh, loads of predictions here that I've missed. Apologies, guys. 2-0 from Barney. 5-0 from Robbie. 3-1 from Chris. 3-0 from, I'm not going to try and say the name, it's just easier, you. So, yeah, thank you for your prediction. So, moving on to the questions that people put forward on Twitter this morning. Thank you for your patience. First question for Barney, who's in the chat. Thank you for tuning in, Barney. It's been a long one listening to me waffling. Barney says, well, you put it in the morning. It says morning. Let's change that to evening now. So, question for you all. Who was your standout player for Tottenham in the match? I'm going to put this question to you, Crackers. Who was your standout player in the game?
Well, I made Solomon, man of the match. Yeah. I like that he came in, 2 assists, grabbed his chance. So, you could say, of course, Son, but that's Son doing what Son can and does do, and Maddison. So, but I like the fact he came in, grabbed his chance and impressed. So that feeds into my point. Yeah, Solomon for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't think he's been talked about enough. I think his performance was top class.
I think he looked. Sorry, I just want to say, I think he looked a lot better down the left than down the right, judging the past.
Yeah, I thought so. And you look at the crackers he scored for Fulham. I think it was against Wolves and Burnley in the cup, something like that. They're both from the left-hand side, cutting inside.
He looks a lot better down that side. Yeah.
He does, yeah, and he did for Fulham. The small chances he got. Craig, next question for you from Robbie. Also, I know he's in the chat. So big up Robbie for tuning in. Robbie says, big 3 games coming up against Sheffield United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. How many points can you get, and how many points will we get? Great question.
Well, we can get 9 points. Mathematically,
yes.
we can get 9 points. What do I think we'll get? I think we would get. I'm going to go. If we can come out of that 3 games with 5 points, I think that's a great result.
Yeah, absolutely. Avoiding defeat, I think, is really important. Haz, next question for you. The second of a third of Robbie's long question. So thank you, Robbie. You're testing me here. Will you be watching any games during the international break with Spurs players in them?
Maybe you asked the wrong person because I tend to switch off in the international breaks. I don't really watch international football. For me, it's like just 2 weeks off. Yeah. Unless it's the World Cup or the Euros, I don't tune in. I'm sorry.
It's only going to be
probably not the answer you were looking for, but
Yeah, you aren't going to miss much, to be fair. Third part of Robbie's question, come back to Crackers. How excited are you guys for England versus Scotland? Be a random one there.
Meh. Don't ask me. I'm Canarian. I'm from Lanzarote, and we ain't got an international team. So no, I'll watch. It's no such thing as a friendly, is there? England v Scotland. So we all miss league football, but we will watch it. We will be watching it. So let's see, but not as intently as Spurs when they're back.
No, that's for sure. Spurs at another level. Haz, next question for you. Again, 2 parts of the question. First part, although Sanchez looks like he's going, he is going. What would you do with him? Would you sell or keep him?
Well, as I answered earlier, I would have kept him because we didn't bring someone else in the window. So if we brought someone else in, I would have happily let him go, but we didn't. Yep. So I just think we need him for cover. And he had this is someone who doesn't really rate Sanchez, by the way, over the past years, but he seemed to play quite well under Ange. So I would think it would be worth keeping him at least till January, personally. But yeah,
no, I can't disagree. Craig, so second part of the question from Finn saying, what are your thoughts about our number 9 situation? Go for it.
Yeah, I'm relatively okay with it, to be honest. I think, Richarlison's not had the best of starts in a Tottenham shirt. He's clearly lacking confidence. This season he will have the opportunity to play in more games. He's got to take that opportunity. He's got to step up and show that we can see a better version of Richarlison. The reality is we need a striker that's going to score more than 11 goals on average a season. So if Richarlison can't do that in this team with the chances that we're going to create, then it probably is a little bit right and probably not the answer we need long term. But in terms of where we are now, the squad is a squad. We can't do anything about it. Richarlison's there, Sonny's there, and I've got every faith between the two of them over the course of the season we'll get enough goals to get us where we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. How's it going to put the next question to you from Chris? Again, another second part to a question. I'm going to ask the first part. Guys, you're testing me. Oh, I don't need this on a Monday night. Does Son stay up top now? And Brennan Johnson or Solomon wide after the game, or do you bring Richarlison back in?
I think I would play Johnson, Solomon, and Son next game. That's what I would go with.
Would you?
Like
Okay.
someone in the chat, Johnson, Solomon, and Son. Did I say
Fair
that
enough.
right? They've got Son at the end of it. Sorry.
They have, yeah.
Solomon, Son. Yeah. I'll play those three personally.
Yeah, there you go, Chris. Your question's been answered. You're challenging me because you're using initials for players as well. You're really testing me here. Crikey. The Crackers coming to you for the second part of the question, Chris is saying, what would be your dream successful season? 2nd, top 4, 7th for the FA Cup, 8th, but we're just building a team and consistency, just enjoying the football. Go for it. We've already touched on it briefly.
Well, pardon the dogs in the background going mad. They're getting excited about Spurs as well. Dream season is winning the league. Of course it is. Look, let's start enjoying football. Firstly and foremostly, which we have been. So that's a bonus. I've already enjoyed this season, the small part of it than I had for the whole of last season. So we're already up. If we finish above 8th, we're already up again. We'll gloss over the League Cup. Look, if we can put a cup, if we can put the FA Cup on the side and get ourselves a bit of Champions League, wow. So given where we've come from, anything's a bonus, isn't it? Really, I mean, it was such doldrums. Everything just feels like a bonus at the moment, but that feeling soon subsides, and then you want to start seeing some success. That's what we're all here for. So just a smile on my face is success at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries, Chris, for the answers, what we're here for. Craig, and put the next question for you from Thomas, who says, who is the player who's impressed you most so far under the Ange Postecoglou reign? Good question.
Oh, that's such a tough question because there's so many players that have been impressive this season. So, but I'm going to go for a doggy, and the reason I'm going to go for a doggy is because the reason I'm going to say that is because Bissouma's now showing what he showed at the player we signed from Brighton before we signed him. So it's not necessarily a surprise to me. That player was already in there. He just wasn't given the opportunity under Conte. The other players that really impressed me, obviously Solomon's impressed me. Van der Ven's impressed me. Romero's impressed me, but I know what he's got. Porro's impressed me, but I knew he had something. So I would say Udogie is the one that's come in and really been surprised by the way he's adapted to the Premier League, and he just looks like a player, doesn't he? He just looks built for the Premier League and to play in that position. He really is. Well, for me, he's the best left back we've had since Danny Rose.
Yeah, no, lots of people agree with you with that. So that is all the questions that people put forward for the podcast on Twitter this morning. So thank you very much. Some challenging ones, but good as always. So thank you very much. And thank you for the likes. People just let me know they've liked the stream. Thank you very much. So that is it. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the fabulous guests here. So going to go around one by one and ask where people can find you. Crackers, majority should know by now. Where can people find you?
Normally hanging out on X mainly, but across all the socials at Mr. Cracknell. So bringing my own brand of misery, apparently, I was told, to a little ray of sunshine. So and silly gags as well, like the silly alternative commentary that I put to the Romero goal yesterday on there. So bit of yin, bit of yang on there, and that's where I am. But thanks, Harry. Really enjoyed it as always, and some good comments, good questions, and a nice catch up. Good smiles on faces. That's what it's all about.
It's been a great one, hasn't it? It's been a really positive
one.
Very
good. Very good.
It has. Yeah, your third time on the show. So thank you, crackers. And don't forget to subscribe.
Football's coming. Yeah, I get to take the match ball home now, don't I?
You sure do, yeah. It's a special one. Third appearance. You definitely deserve it. And go check out last one on Spurs as well. Fantastic stuff. Find crackers on there. Find Lee McQueen on there. I believe, on the 18th of this month. So that's going to be exciting. My next aim is to get both crackers and Lee McQueen on that. Well, boy, that will be a good show. That's the
We're
aim.
the same people, you know. You can't have that. That's why we can't appear together. We're like Janet and Michael Jackson. It's the same person.
I always love a show when you two are both on it. Craig, where can people find you and talk to me about Cheese Room Podcast?
Yeah. I'm on X at Craig_Spurs. I'm on Instagram as well if you really want to follow and see boring pictures of me doing boring stuff. But Cheese Room Podcast is where Cheese Room YouTube show is where you normally find me. I host a Wednesday night midweek show. Regularly appear on the Monday, Friday night, and every other show in between. So that's where you can find me. Come over and have a look.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Big up to everyone in the chat, all the comments. There's quite a few of them. Haz, where can people find you apart from follow me around everywhere?
Yeah. So I think I'm on yours. Is it in a couple of weeks after?
Don't do this again.
Yeah, you book people in really early, so this is what
I do. Yeah,
so I think I'm on yours in like a couple of weeks. I've got my own channel, Haz Spurs TV, so please subscribe. I also host on View from the South,
which we play from a lot.
Quite a lot, where Harry's there a lot. So I do the post-match show sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday, depending on Haz and Marlon. And I do a preview show every Friday. Obviously, there won't be one this Friday because there's no game. Every Friday, I do a preview show for the weekend's game. And then I'm just dotted around YouTube with other channels as well on top of that. And I mean, obviously, with Harry quite a lot as well. So... Yeah, we did a lot of shows. We did, I think, is this our fourth stream this week or something in a week or something?
Yeah, fourth one, I believe. Yeah, it's been a lot on it.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah. And then also the Haz show, I think, is back this Thursday. So we should be back this Thursday on View from the South. Haz and Haz show. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So go check out these three guys on all socials and the new branded X. And don't forget to subscribe to Cheese Room Podcast. I'm on there quite a bit now. Don't forget to subscribe to Last Word on Spurs. Like Haz says, View from the South Stand, Haz Spurs TV. Go check them all out because we're all one big family.
Or anyone else who has a YouTube channel, just subscribe to them.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much everyone, put it that way. But it's been a great show. Thank you all. But as we always say on the show, come you Spurs. Let's come back even stronger after the international break. Why can't we win the league? Bring it on. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.